Back to the F. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw Adam leave the garden with an apple in his hand. I said, now you're out, what are you gonna do? Plant my crops and pray for rain, maybe raise a little pain. I'm an orphan now and won't be passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. Tell all the people who saw me passing through.
Hi, this is Rick Polari, and welcome to another chapter in the Songwriter's Notebook. And I'm telling you, what a show that we're going to have today. It's been a while since I've met this fella. The very first time that we met, we were doing a Labor Day picnic right here in Burlington and singing some labor songs together. And I've been following him on Facebook for a long time. And I think the one time that I said, well, he's sitting up in a tree protesting the gas pipeline. This is a guy I have to have on the Songwriter's Notebook because he walks his talk. And I was very proud that Eric George is here today on the Songwriter's Notebook because I don't really know a lot about you. I want to know a lot more about what you're doing. I know that you're doing a lot of things here in town. You're very active as a songwriter, as an activist. Mm-hmm. You were very heavily involved in the pipeline controversy that's still going on. And it's not over yet.
It's not over yet.
And I thought it would be really great for people to hear some of your original music.
Sure.
And what I'd like to do is, before we just get into that, why don't we turn the clock back a little bit and get an idea of who you are, Eric.
Sure.
You came from this area?
No, I'm from Boston. It all started 26 years ago. And no, I'm not going to go back that far. But I was born and raised in a suburb of Boston called Sharon. And it's like in a little town with a lake. And my mom's an artist. She's a gardener, and my parents are both lovers of music. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, who I would grow up listening to country stuff, George Jones and Hank Williams, and so that's sort of where I'm coming from as far as the music that I grew up with. And then when I got into high school, I started playing rock music, and I was pretty seriously influenced by a good friend of mine who's a Nashville musician named Joe Fletcher, who was a teacher and sort of mentor of mine for a long time. And he taught a class called American Roots Music, and I'll never forget. I mean, it was one of the first classes, and we went into the classroom, and he turned out all the lights and threw on a recording of Jimmie Rodgers, the Yodelin' Brakeman, and we listened to his song. I think it was the song that we heard was called Never No Mo Blues, and it was one of the most bone-chilling yodels I've ever heard. If you want to hear something amazing, listen to the song Never No Mo Blues.
Can you do a little bit of it?
I can try. It's been a long time since I did that one. But
you don't have to do the whole song.
Yeah, sure. I'll try. It goes. I'm just as blue as I can be since Susie said goodbye to me. My life is a failure, I see, and I'll never come home no more, no more, no more. Yodeling. Hi-yo-le, hi-yo-le, yodelay, Something like
All right.
that. Something like that.
And when did you, like, you were listening to some of this country music. When did the folk music come into the picture?
Well, I don't know if I can make a distinction between the two sometimes. I think I've got the first album I ever really fell in love with that was in the sort of folk roots genre was Ramblin' Jack Elliott one. He was live at the Isle of Wight. And it opens up with Tea for Texas, and he does some amazing songs on that album. And that's what turned me on. That's the album that I got that, and I was like, well, never going back.
Well, that's it. I mean, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. And I think that a lot of people really should think about this umbrella of roots music is a lot more inclusive than people think. It's not just about country music or or folk music. It really, they're all under that same umbrella.
Sure.
And for such a long time, that there was really no separation between them. It's only as we always want to pigeonhole something, and that's the problem is then it becomes this is folk music and this isn't folk music. Well, what has Big Bill Brunzi said? I ain't heard any horses sing any of it. So, it's the people's music,
right.
And
especially when you start to look at the stories of the people who are singing. It's we separate those things by the sound of the music, but the story of Hank Williams is not dissimilar to the story of any of these, other blues and folk musicians. And so you start to figure out where the music is coming from, and that's to me what makes it feel like folk music, and not just the sound of it.
And Woody, of course, Ramblin' Jack was, the person that really was able to carry on Woody's repertoire better than anyone else, because he was there with Woody. He took care of Woody. I mean, there's something different between you learning a song off a record and living a song.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I think that Ramblin' Jack was that kind of guy who was really, if you ever spend any time with him, he's absolutely a wild.
I saw him at Newport Folk Festival one time. He was
talking.
Ridiculous. he was. Somebody took a picture of him, and he was on stage, and he said, "Well, if you want a picture of me, why don't you go back out in the alley? I'll strip naked for you." I was like, "What? You are crazy!" He was just a total hoot. He was a total hoot. He hates pictures.
He hates when he's performing.
Yes, yeah.
Because the lights gets in his eyes, and it makes it really difficult to perform. But you took those kind of roots music, and then you started incorporating your own music. So when did that start happening?
I think it happened really naturally. I mean, everything is always evolving. I don't want to say that this is my sound, because it seems like every time I write a new song and I play it for a friend, they say, that sounds so different than everything you've written. And it literally happens almost every time, where it's like, then what is a sound if it's different every time? But I see what you're saying. Sometimes when I describe my music, which I have to do for professional reasons and that kind of thing, I sometimes say it's like a cross. If Woody Guthrie and Syd Barrett from Pink Floyd made music together, it's somewhere in between those things where it's roots music. But I grew up playing Pink Floyd and playing the Doors and like blues bands in high school and that kind of thing. So kind of coming from both places here.
So let's not waste any more time and get Eric George to play one of his own songs.
Sure.
And which one are you going to do?
Well, I'll do this one on account of the songs that you were singing out there. I kind of studied War No More while I was listening. This is a new song of mine. This is a little bit more true to a sort of a roots, folk sound. And the less of the sort of psychedelic stuff, but we can get there soon. This one's called Two Hands, and I just wrote it about 2 weeks ago. I normally have a harmonica, but I busted the harmonica, so I'll whistle instead. Nobody believes the scientist who's got bad news to tell, but everybody believes the salesman who's got something good to sell. Nobody grieves for the ocean, but for the city in the sea. Lord, I hear a sadness after the laughter leaves. We're singing, what have you done, you son of a gun? You can't defend the lives you spend. The end is the beginning, the end. The bones of this young country have got a long ways to mend. through moments of hopelessness. As the road bends, you got one hand to hold on, the other one to lend. Well, nobody needs to shoot the breeze, just checking the phones instead. Reading about World War III as we're laying in bed. 'Cause when it feels like facts attack all the things that you thought you knew, I guess it's easier to believe the things they'll promise you. Oh, you son of a gun, what have you done? You can't defend the lives you spend. The end is the beginning, the end. The bones of this young country got a long ways to mend. Through moments of hopelessness, as the road bends, you got one hand to hold on, the other one to lend. And the words in this next part I first heard on a recording on that very album that we were talking about. It's funny I should play this song. Ramblin' Jack, and he opens up with these words for the song John Henry. Listen, in every heart there burns a flame for the love of glory and the dread of shame. But oh, how happy we would be if we understood that there is no safety but in doing good. You got one hand to hold on, the other one to lend.
Now, Eric, a lot of people, especially a lot of us gray hairs, we're always, wondering about, what are the young people out there thinking about, and musically, what are they doing? Everybody's saying, like, okay, where is the next political kind of singer? Where are they? And do you run into them? I mean, you're doing it.
Yeah,
you're
sure.
out there doing it. But what do you see as far as your contemporaries?
Well, it's an interesting question because I feel like so much of how to address the immense problems that we face right now feels so, I don't know, like creating foundations for people to actually live in a healthy community where we can like support people with mental illness, support people who are struggling. So I think that where I'm coming from is, as far as other people who play music, I know so many people who are pursuing music because they love doing it and are creating community around it. And so oftentimes those are people who are also, at protest events, supporting, all sorts of different causes. Quick note, I wasn't the one in the tree. I just have to clear that up. I was playing underneath the tree.
You were under the tree.
I was under the tree.
Your girlfriend was in the tree, right?
That's true. That's not, my girlfriend at the
Okay.
time. She was up on the tree.
Oh, I'm sorry, but cheers to her too.
I know. Yeah. Hats off. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
But
was up
you-
there for 2 weeks.
But you were right there, and going into a lot of the demonstrations that were taking place at the State House.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
locking ourselves in the office in Montpelier.
And what do
hanging on
you
the street.
feel that you can accomplish as a musician when you're that much in that moment? What are you trying to do? Because you're not necessarily singing your own songs at that particular point.
Sure. You're asking big questions. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I guess the question is, what can music do for protest, and what's the role of it? And it's an old question. I mean, I think that for one thing, I mean, the sense of community and solidarity that is created and sort of feeds people who are working on that stuff is essential. I mean, I think that a lot of the time I've seen friends of mine work themselves into the ground working on protest campaigns, particularly against the pipeline. And I think without a solid sense of community and solidarity, they would probably run themselves into the ground much faster. So songs like that and being able to sing with people, I mean, we know enough now where scientifically singing with people brings out incredible, incredible things in our like emotional development and all these different things. So it has a role in that, and it also has a role in speaking truth that is otherwise ignored when spoken with anger and spoken pointing at people. You know, if I point at a Trump supporter and say all the things that I just sang in that song, it's different. No offense to some people, I'm sure people have their reasons, but but it's different if you're singing it in a song that's palatable than pointing your finger and hollering at someone.
Now, one of the cool things that you do that's very different than most folks is not only are you making your CDs, but you're actually making your own books.
Sure, yeah.
And coming from this bookbinding background that I come from with my wife, I was very impressed at the idea that you're hand doing these, and it's a lot of work. Now, why on earth did you decide to do it this way?
Well, I suppose just more labor and putting more love into something makes a
And you do the designs?
I did all the designs. Well, this is I'm gonna show the camera like it's some kind of infomercial. And if you order in the next 25 minutes,
no, we can't do that.
Just kidding. Totally joking. I'm actually not. I'm just excited about these. Yeah. So this one, I recorded all these songs last summer. I wrote all of them in about 2 or 3 months and then recorded them at the end of the summer. And then I collaborated with a friend of mine who's a really talented artist, and she put artwork to each song. So maybe I could turn it like this, and it's got all the guitar chords and everything.
It's very cool.
And to go back to your question, why I made them the way I did, is that was the only way that I could think to do it cheaply, is just to do it myself. And I have had many experiences over the years of making music where as the moment I put the things that I create into somebody else's hands, it explodes and everything goes awry.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to do everything myself so that nobody else can mess anything up, which turned out to not work.
Yeah. Well, one of the most important things that Utah Phillips would say is own your own tools. Own your own tools.
There you go.
And this way that you're in control, you're the one that makes sure that the book comes out the way that you want it.
Sure.
You can't blame anybody else, and you do all the hard work. So let's hear one of the songs from
From this last record?
Yeah,
Sure.
And then I want to hear something from the new project as well.
Sure, yeah, that sounds great.
Because we have to get in as much as we can in the time that we have.
Well, I'll sing you a song that. How about a little story? I know you like stories. You tell them all the time. I was in New Mexico and I met this old, great folk singer, and he said to me, he was playing on the street, and he said, "Can I tell you the story?" And he told me the story. He didn't sing it. He said, "Can I tell you the story of how I lost my gal and met my best friend?" And I was like, "Duh," So he told me the story, and I made this song up about it. It's called "Crossing the River." And the words are, "Did you see Mara crossing the river?" Feel free to sing along to that part. Here, but you can follow along.
All right, I'll just follow along on your book here.
There you go. He woke up and spoke up his truth to the youthful day. His comfortless, restless, and deafening questions went away. 'Cause it turns out that burned out candles cast shadows all the same. So faithfully he gave thanks to the flame of yesterday. Loved a girl in San Antonio. She said, "Honey, your heart is my home." I was to take her hand in Las Cruces, but the wedding band was useless. Boy, she's gone. So he went down to the steamboat mill with a photograph in his hand. He said, did you see Mara crossing the river? Did you see Mara crossing the river? Yeah. Well, he broke down and woke up in a pool room off Highway 69. Till one day a man came who pulled a train on the SP line. Well, they talked on the old days of people and places they knew. Turns out the story of one man can sometimes become that of two. Love the girl with the curly hair and the careless smile, said the engineer. I was to take her hand in Dixieland. She went back across the Rio Grande. Shapeless and changing like rain or a gray sky. Fate is frost, it is sunshine. They sang, did you see Mara crossing the river? Did you see Mara crossing the river? An old man looked at me, steamboat gray in his eyes. The memory fades, but the question never dies. He said, did you see Mara crossing the river? Did you see Mara crossing the river? Did you see Mara crossing the river? Did you see Mara crossing the river?
Very nice.
Thanks.
It's fun to follow along too, folks.
It
You know,
sure
you just
is.
sit here and you can follow Eric's every utterance as we're going along. And so this is Smoke the Fire Gives, an album and songbook by Eric George. And so the new one is this one?
No, so this is a book of poems that's going to come out
Okay.
on August 23rd, which is the date of the release for the next album. And so the new one is actually the small one here. It's
The
called
small one.
Not About Nightingales, and there's also traditional CD packaging as well. And by the way, I'm going to start passing these out in the world. This is called a cry card. My partner makes them. Anytime you cry, you write down the time you cried, and then you leave it in a public space. So here, take one of these. Rick. That's for you.
Just in case I cry.
You
never
know.
You never know. You never know. You know, now we have about 5 minutes, so I just want to say, you know, folks at home, Eric is pretty busy. He runs, you know, things over at the Radio Bean.
Sure, yeah.
You do a kind of a hootenanny night, or not? They call it
Honky
Honky Tonk
Tuesday, yeah.
Honky Tonk Tuesday, and plays around in a lot of different venues, so people will get a chance to go out and see Eric. And he has a website. And your website should be on the screen if somebody's in the room, but if it's not.
I saw it up there a minute ago.
It was up
It
there a
was
while.
up there.
There
There
it
it
is.
is. There it is.
Okay, and so this way you folks can go over there. You can learn more about all the things that he's doing, where he's playing, the different projects that he's working on, and you can just support what he's doing. I mean, you have a Facebook page.
Sure do. Yep.
And so people can follow you on Facebook and learn, you know, what you're doing, and talk about your girlfriend sitting in trees and why she does that. She sat there for quite a while, didn't she?
She was up there for 2 weeks. Yeah.
For 2 weeks up in the tree because she wanted to let it be known that she was against the gas line. And with someone sitting in the tree, the idea of them coming and moving that tree would be a lot more difficult. So
dare I say impossible?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's
so
possible.
What song did you sing for her when she was up in the tree?
Oh, we sang all sorts of songs when we were sitting down there. You know, of course, "We Shall Not Be Moved," which I think I heard you singing before.
Yeah. We can maybe do a song as on our way out. But you want to give us another quick song? Do you have a
sure.
short song?
I got a quick one. Well, let me. Here, I'm gonna borrow your thumb pick.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'll play you a brand new one I wrote at the laundromat just a couple nights ago,
Clean song.
and it's
Okay.
real short.
Yeah. All right.
All right, and
Go
then
ahead.
it's called "Carry That Casket." It's about whatever you want it to be. It's about maybe throwing out your past, getting rid of everything you don't want anymore. Maybe it's about the environment. Who knows? Goes like this. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones to carry it home. I mean everyone under the sun. We are the ones to carry it home. To carry that casket. One more time. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones to carry it home. I mean everyone under the sun. We are the ones to carry it home. To carry that casket.
All right. All right.
It's a little laundromat song for you.
Well, what kind of things do it seems like you get inspired by a lot of things, from talking to different people.
Laundry.
And political activism.
Sure.
And, what do you feel about Vermont, Eric? What is your feeling about where we live?
What's my feeling about Vermont? Specifically Burlington, which I know some people say, you live in Burlington, you don't live in Vermont. There's an incredible community of musicians and artists and growers and poets that I know. So I'm deeply attached to Vermont in that sense. Burlington's been my home for about 10 years now. The rest of Vermont, I absolutely love playing in other places, and people are so receptive to the kind of things that I'm, putting out for them, like folk songs and writing my own music and handmade books and all that stuff. I think we're a little bit behind the times on some things that the rest of the country is pretty hip to, surprisingly, for such a liberal state. I think that, we're
The more that
the
you
gas
travel.
pipeline, the whole. Yeah, I won't get into it. It's
Yeah, well,
we're
the
on.
whole thing is that this you'll find, the more that you travel, the more that you go to different places, the more you can understand that there's so many people in this world that feel the same way that we do.
Sure.
And I think that's the important thing. Well, you still in F?
Sure. Yeah. What do you want to do?
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Chorus! We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Sing one, Eric.
The Union is behind us.
Oh, we shall not be moved.
The Union is behind us.
Oh, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. There we go. Well, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Now we're gonna stop that gas line. We shall not be moved. Now we're gonna stop that gas line. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. One more time. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Play now, Eric. Do it again. Last time. Well, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Eric
Took me a minute
George.
to get that harmony. Sometimes it's like throwing darts, you know?